The rain hammered the limo windows like fists of regret as I stared at the diamond ring glinting mockingly on my finger. Marry him, Roman, or watch your family's vineyard crumble under debt. My father's voice echoed from the boardroom where it all shattered. His ultimatum, cold as the champagne we'd toasted with earlier that day. And just like that, at 28, I became the sacrificial lamb to Theodore Blackwood, the ice-hearted CEO whose empire swallowed dreams whole. I never imagined freedom could taste like ash. Growing up in the rolling hills of Napa Valley, I chased sunsets on horseback, the soil rich with promise under my boots. Wine was our bloodline. The Blackwood Vineyards, a legacy my grandfather bled for, now teetering on bankruptcy after one bad harvest and a string of shady loans. Dad called it strategic alliance. I called it extortion. Theodore Blackwood, heir to Blackwood Industries, a conglomerate that spanned tech startups to luxury real estate, needed a presentable spouse to seal a merger with East Coast investors. They whispered he was gay, but closeted deeper than a prohibition speakeasy. His public facade all sharp suits and sharper deals. Me? I was the open secret. The queer kid who'd come out at 16, dated baristas and artists, lived loud in San Francisco's Castro before Dad dragged me back to fix the family mess. The wedding was a blur of crystal chandeliers and forced smiles in a Hamptons estate, the ocean roaring like it knew the farce. Theodore stood at the altar in bespoke Armani, his jaw carved from marble, eyes like smoked quartz, distant, dissecting. He was 32, built like a quarterback who'd traded the field for boardrooms, with dark hair slicked back and a cologne that whispered power. Our vows were contractual clauses disguised as poetry. His hand in mine felt like gripping a live wire. "I do," I said, voice steady for the cameras. But inside, I was screaming for the vineyard workers who'd lose everything if I bolted. That night, in the penthouse overlooking Central Park, his wedding gift, he called it, with all the warmth of a tax write-off. I paced the marble floors while he vanished into his study. The place screamed money. Abstract art screaming silent rage on walls. A grand piano untouched like a relic. I poured scotch from the bar cart, the burn matching the knot in my chest. This wasn't love. It was leverage. I'd signed away my autonomy for vines and vintage bottles, trading my graphic design gigs for this gilded cage. Sleep evaded me, so I wandered to the kitchen at dawn, craving coffee like a lifeline. That's when I met him, Jax, the new hire butler, or so the agency email said. He was elbow-deep in the espresso machine, sleeves rolled up on a simple white shirt, revealing forearms etched with faint tattoos peeking like secrets. Mid-20s, maybe, with messy auburn hair falling over hazel eyes that crinkled when he turned. "Mr. Blackwood, Roman, right? Coffee black? Or with a twist?" His voice was gravelly warm, like aged bourbon, cutting through the sterile air. I blinked, caught off guard by the casual ease. No bow, no sir, just a lopsided grin that dimpled his cheek. Roman's fine. And yeah, twist, something sweet to cut the bitter. I leaned on the island, watching him work with fluid grace, like he'd danced this routine 1,000 times. He frothed milk with a flourish, dusting cinnamon in a heart shape that made me snort. You're not what I expected from Theo's staff. Most of them look like they iron their underwear. He laughed, low and genuine, handing over the mug. Theo, Mr. Blackwood, likes efficiency over flash. Name's Jax. Been here a week, but the place was a ghost town before you. His gaze lingered a beat too long, curious, not prying. We talked easy like old bar buddies. He knew Napa from a road trip once, raved about the Pinot Noirs I'd grown up bottling. For the first time since the altar, I breathed without the weight of expectation. Jax didn't know the merger details or care. He just listened, refilling my cup, sharing stories of hitchhiking from Seattle with a backpack and big dreams. Days blurred into a fragile routine. Theodore was a phantom. Dawn departures for Tokyo calls. Midnight returns reeking of negotiations and neglect. Our marriage was meals alone, polite nods in passing. His touches limited to a brush of fingers over contracts. I'd catch him watching me sometimes. From across the room, his expression unreadable. like I was a puzzle he hadn't decided to solve. It stung, that detachment. I'd always worn my heart like a badge, falling fast for souls who saw me. But Theo? He was a fortress. Jax became my anchor. Mornings in the kitchen evolved to afternoons on the terrace, where he'd sneak up with iced lattes while I sketched logos on my tablet. Freelance work to keep my sanity. He'd perch on the ledge, legs dangling, spinning yarns about dive bars in Austin or stargazing in the Badlands. "You ever feel like life's just one big con?" he'd ask, eyes on the horizon. I'd nod, spilling about the vineyard, the wedding that wasn't mine. He never judged, just squeezed my shoulder, his touch electric, innocent, but it lit something dormant in me. One evening, after Theo canceled our obligatory dinner for the third time, Jax found me in the library, buried in ledgers Dad had shipped over. "Numbers don't lie, but people do," I muttered, slamming the book shut. He slid a plate of gourmet PB&J, his antidote to adulting, and sat cross-legged on the rug. "Tell me about the real you, Roman. Not the groom, the guy." I hesitated, then let it pour. The ex who ghosted after pride, the fear of fading into my family's shadow. Jax listened, chin on knees, then shared his own scars. A foster kid bounced between homes, chasing stability in odd jobs. "Loyalty's my thing," he said softly. "Find someone worth it, and you stick." Our knees brushed, and the air thickened, charged like pre-storm static. I wanted to lean in, taste that loyalty on his lips, but guilt chained me. This ring, this lie. Instead, I pulled back, mumbling thanks, fleeing to my room where Theo's cologne lingered like accusation. Weeks in, the cracks showed. A tabloid splashed our blissful union with paparazzi shots. Me smiling forced at a gala, Theo stone-faced beside. Investors ate it up. The merger sailed. But at home, isolation gnawed. Jax filled the voids, his presence a bomb. We'd cook disasters together. Burnt risotto one night, victorious tacos the next. Laughing until my sides ached. He had this way of seeing me, really seeing, hazel eyes stripping pretenses. "You're brighter than this penthouse deserves," he'd say, and I'd flush, heart tripping. Then came the betrayal's first whisper. Dad called, voice oily. "Theodore's playing hardball. Wants more equity in the vineyard. Sign it or we're sunk." Rage boiled. This marriage was a noose, tightening. I confronted Theo that night, storming his study. He looked up from his laptop, tie loosened, vulnerability flickering before shutters slammed down. "It's business, Roman. You knew that." "Business? I'm your husband, not a clause." My voice cracked, fists clenched. He stood, towering, but his eyes, God, those eyes, held a storm I couldn't read. "Walk away if you hate it so much." The words landed like slaps, and I did, slamming the door, tears hot on my cheeks. Jax was waiting in the hall, concern etching his face. "Hey, storm cloud, balconies calling." We ended up there, city lights blurring through tears as I vented. He wrapped an arm around me, solid, safe. "You're not alone in this mess," he murmured, breath warm on my neck. Our faces inches apart. The pull was magnetic, lips hovering, hearts pounding. But I jerked back. "I can't. Not like this." He nodded, hurt flashing, but released me. "Whenever you're ready." That night, sleep brought dreams of tangled sheets and whispered promises. Jax's face morphing into Theo's. Guilt twisted deeper. I was falling for a servant in a sham marriage to a stranger. Little did I know, the real con was just unraveling. The merger gala loomed like a guillotine, black tie affair at the Met where New York's elite preened like peacocks on parade. Theo cornered me that morning in the dressing room, adjusting my cufflinks with clinical precision. "Smile tonight, Roman. Charm them. It's for the family." His fingers lingered on my wrist, pulse jumping under his touch. A rare crack in the armor. I searched his face for warmth, found only resolve. "And after? When the ink dries, what then?" He paused, jaw ticking. "We'll figure it. Cross that bridge." It was the closest to hope he'd offered, and I clung to it like driftwood. Jax drove us, impeccable in chauffeur black, silent sentinel in the rear view. Our eyes met in the mirror, a silent pact. His wink, my half-smile. At the venue, flashbulbs erupted as we stepped out arm in arm. The perfect power couple facade. Theo's hand on my lower back burned through silk, possessive yet tender in the spotlight. We navigated champagne flutes and backroom deals. His low timbre introducing me as my partner in every sense. Lies laced with longing. I played along, laughing at venture capitalists' jokes, but my mind wandered to Jack's waiting curbside, loyal shadow. Midway, Theo vanished for a call, leaving me adrift in a sea of schmoozers. A silver-haired investor, Harlan Voss, Dad's old friend from the loans. Sidled up, breath sour with scotch. Heard about the vineyard squeeze, son. Tough break. But hey, marry into Blackwood, and debts vanish like morning fog. His leer made my skin crawl. He clapped my shoulder too hard, whispering, Theo's got secrets, kid. Watch your back. I brushed him off, heart racing, fleeing to the terrace for air. Jax was there impossibly, leaning on the balustrade, city sprawl at his feet. Needed a breather? He straightened, offering a flask. Borrowed from the bartender. Liquid courage. We sipped under stars, the gala's murmur distant. You're holding up like a champ, he said, voice soft. But I see it eating you. I confessed Voss's words, the creeping dread. Jax's arm draped my shoulders, pulling me close. Secrets are just stories waiting to breathe. Yours deserve light. The world narrowed to his heartbeat against mine, steady as a metronome. I tilted my chin, lips brushing his in a ghost of a kiss, sweet, tentative, electric. He froze, then deepened it, hand cupping my jaw, world tilting. Footsteps shattered it. We sprang apart as Theo emerged, silhouette sharp against the lights. His eyes flicked from me to Jax, unblinking. Roman, cars waiting. No accusation, just steel. Jax melted into shadows, professional mask snapping on. The drive home was tomb silent, Theo's knuckles white on the wheel. At the penthouse, he poured brandy, handing me a glass without a word. Who was he? Not anger, curiosity, edged with something raw. Just the driver. A friend. Lies tasted bitter. Theo's gaze pierced, then dropped. I see the way you light up around people who see you. I envy that. The admission hung, vulnerable, pulling me toward him. Then see me, Theo. Really. He stepped closer, breath mingling. I'm trying. Our lips met, hesitant, then hungry, a dam breaking. His kiss was fire and frost, hands framing my face like I was fragile art. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed. This could be real, he whispered. Hope flickered, fragile as moth wings. But dawn brought Harlan Voss's poison to life.
À courrier délivré à dossier Anonymous, Danning.
Photos of Jax. Not just our terrace moment, but older shots. Him in Theo's office, poring over files, whispering with board members. Even a grainy one from my wedding, lurking in the crowd. Notes scrawled, your loyal servant is a corporate spy, planted by Voss to sabotage the merger. He's bleeding Blackwood dry. My stomach plummeted. Betrayal sharp as shattered glass. Jax? The one who'd mended my fractures? I confronted him in the kitchen, dossier splayed like autopsy photos. Explain this. His face drained of color, hazel eyes wide with shock. Roman, it's not. Don't. Voss sent it. Says you're his mole, stealing secrets for the loans. Jax's hands trembled as he reached for me. I swear, on everything, I'm not. Listen. But rage blinded me. Get out. Now. He lingered, pain etching lines on his young face. Theo knew. About us, that's why. I shoved the photos at him. Out. He left, door clicking like a guillotine. Theo found me later, curled on the terrace, rain mingling with tears. Voss is playing dirty. I fired the agency that sent him. His arms enveloped me, solid. We'll fight this together. I melted into him, the kiss from the gala reigniting. Deeper now, laced with desperation. In his bed that night, we explored edges of trust, bodies speaking what words couldn't. Slow caresses, shared breaths, a tentative bridge over the chasm. I want this, he murmured against my skin. Us. For the first time, the ring felt like promise, not prison. But doubt festered. Days later, rifling through Jax's abandoned locker for closure, I found a hidden drive, files on Voss's shell companies, evidence of embezzlement from the vineyard loans. Not sabotage against Theo, but protection, for me, for us. A note tucked inside. Couldn't tell you. Had to earn trust first. I'm on your side, always.
J.
Heart shattering anew. I realized the real betrayal was mine. Casting out the one who'd seen my soul. I tracked Jax to a dingy Brooklyn walk-up, rain-slicked streets mirroring my turmoil. He opened the door, wary, bruised under the eyes. Roman? What? I thrust the drive forward. I was wrong. Forgive me? His laugh was broken, pulling me inside. We collapsed on the worn couch, confessions tumbling. He'd infiltrated as a plant. Yes, but for Theo, undercover to expose Voss's fraud threatening the merger. Your husband hired me, disguised loyalty to test the waters, protect you both. The world spun. Theo, the cold CEO, puppeteering my heart? Fury and love warred as Jax. No, the truth hit like lightning. Those hazel eyes, the tattoos matching faint scars on Theo's arms from a file photo I'd glimpsed. You're him. Jax's grin faded, mask slipping. Call me Theodore James Blackwood. But with you, I'm just Theo, the guy who fell first. Shock rooted me. The kisses, the stories, the loyalty. It was all him, hidden to court me truly, away from the empire's glare. Betrayal bloomed into a tempest, every memory reframed in deceit's cruel light. Theo, my husband, the fortress, had orchestrated it all. The Jax facade, the stolen moments, even the terrace kiss that cracked my resolve. You played me? I choked out in that cramped Brooklyn flat, the drive clattering to the floor. Rain lashed the window like accusations. He, Theo, unmasked, winced, auburn wig discarded on the table, hazel eyes stripped bare. Not played, protected. Voss had eyes everywhere. The merger was a minefield. I needed to know you, Roman, beyond the contract. I laughed, bitter as overripe grapes. Know me? You spied on my heart. Flashes assaulted. Kitchen coffees with Jax. Confessions over tacos, that almost kiss on the balcony. All engineered intimacy. The real Theo, the CEO, had watched from afar, piecing me together like a hostile takeover. And the gala? You saw us, then vanished. Testing loyalty? He nodded, slow, pain etching his features. I saw enough to ache, but I had to be sure. Sure you'd choose me, not the role. I bolted, hailing a cab through the downpour, Manhattan's neon blurring into watercolor regret. Back at the penthouse, I tore through drawers, photos of Jax now mocking, his cologne bottle half empty on the nightstand. Theo arrived at midnight, drenched, tie askew. Roman, please. He dropped to his knees on the rug, voice raw. I was scared. My world's cutthroat. Love's a liability. But you. From the altar, you disarmed me. The disguise was armor. Until it wasn't. We argued till dawn. Words weapons, then olive branches. He confessed the depths. Orphaned young, raised by boardroom wolves, he'd built Blackwood into a beast to fill the void. Coming out meant vulnerability, the marriage clause a shield. But me? You were the variable I couldn't calculate. Vibrant, unbroken. I fell serving you breakfast, hearing your laugh echo off these walls. Tears tracked his cheeks, the ice melting. I wanted to hate him, but the pull was tidal, that gala kiss echoing true. Prove it, I whispered. No masks. He did, in fragments. We drove to Napa unannounced, his jet slicing through clouds like absolution. The vineyard sprawled golden under autumn sun. Workers pausing as we arrived, me in jeans. Him in flannel borrowed from a foreman, looking almost human. Dad met us at the tasting room, brow furrowed. Theo? What's this? Theo laid out the drive's evidence. Voss's fraud, laundered through fake loans, siphoning our harvest profits. It's over. Sign the release. Blackwood covers the debts. No strings. Dad's eyes widened, then softened, gratitude warring with suspicion. We walked the rows together, Theo's hand brushing mine, tentative. He knelt in the dirt, soil staining his slacks, inhaling the earth like prayer. This is you, Roman, roots deep, reaching for sun. I showed him the crush pad, where I'd stomped grapes as a kid, juice staining skin like war paint. Laughter came easy, unforced. By sunset, over a bottle of 98 Cabernet, he shared ghosts. First love lost to a scandal, the closet that choked him. I disguised as Jax to breathe, to woo you without the weight. Forgiveness crept slow, like dawn over hills. Back in New York, we dismantled the facade. No more studies or silences. Dinners became rituals. Him burning toast, me sketching his profile mid-bite. Intimacy rebuilt brick by brick. Hands laced on the piano bench as he fumbled chords. My head on his chest during late-night documentaries on civil rights icons. You're my revolution, he'd murmur, kissing my temple. Love bloomed quiet. A shared umbrella in drizzle. His thumb tracing my ring like vow renewal. But Voss's shadow lengthened. Whispers in board meetings. Leaked emails pinning merger delays on internal sabotage. Harlan cornered me at a charity auction. Champagne flute trembling. Your boy's slipping, Roman. My offer stands. Walk away. Take the vineyard free and clear. Venom dripped. I saw the desperation. The empire crumbling if exposed. Game's over, Harlan. We have proof. His smile curdled. Proof burns. That night, fire alarms shrieked. Smoke billowing from Theo's study. I burst in, flames devouring files. The drive's backup melting in the inferno. Theo tackled me back, coughing. Voss. He broke in. Firefighters swarmed, but the evidence charred to ash. Theo's face hardened, the old ice returning. We'll rebuild, but you stay safe. Paranoia seeped in. Shadows lengthened, my phone buzzing with anonymous threats. Leave him or lose everything. The climax crashed during a Hudson River yacht gala. Irony thick as fog. Investors toasted the merger's triumph. But Voss lurked, eyes serpentine. Theo pulled me aside, voice urgent. I stashed a copy off-site, but he's coming for it. We slipped to the deck, wind whipping, when Voss emerged with two bruisers, gun glinting under sodium lights. The drive, Blackwood, or your pretty husband takes a swim. Heart slamming, I stepped forward. It's gone, Harlan. You lost. He lunged, chaos erupting, fists flying, Theo shielding me as we grappled. A shot cracked, wild, splintering wood. I swung a deck chair, connecting with a thug's knee. Theo disarmed Voss with a wrestler's hold, years of pent-up fury unleashed. For Roman, he growled, pinning him. Cops swarmed, tipped by Theo's silent alarm, cuffing Voss as he spat curses. In the melee's wake, bruised and breathless on the rain-slicked deck, Theo pulled me close. I love you. No these guys. Our kiss tasted of salt and survival, city lights haloing us like benediction. Voss's empire unraveled in indictments, fraud charges sticking like tar. The merger solidified, vineyard saved, but victory hollow without trust's full mend. Back home, scars lingered. Theo's flinch at shadows, my hesitation in vulnerability. Yet in quiet hours we'd trace tattoos, his from Jack's days, mine from Napa summers. Mapping paths converged. Winter cloaked Manhattan in silver hush. Central Park a wonderland of frosted branches and bundled joggers. Our penthouse, once a stage for shadows, transformed, Theo's study now a shared studio. My sketches mingling with his architecture blueprints. We'd hired a real butler, Mrs. Hale, a no-nonsense widow from Queens who baked pies that rivaled Napa's warmth. No more disguises. Just us, raw and reaching. Healing wasn't linear. Nightmares woke us. Mine of burning files, his of boardroom betrayals. We'd talk till the city stirred, coffee steaming between us. I was a fool, thinking control equaled safety. Theo admitted one dawn, stubble shadowing his jaw. You taught me surrender. I'd lace fingers with his, the ring now a talisman. And you showed me love's worth the risk. We volunteered at a queer youth center in Chelsea. Him mentoring on resilience, me leading art workshops. Watching him with wide-eyed teens, voice steady as he shared his closet's cage. Pride swelled. This was the man unmasked. Compassionate. Fierce. Spring brought renewal. We escaped to Napa for the harvest. Theo trading loafers for boots. Hands blistered from picking clusters under relentless sun. Dad, gruff but thawing, clapped his back at the crush, toasting with mud-stained glasses. You saved us, son-in-law. Theo's grin was boyish, dimples flashing. The Jack's echo that still made my heart stutter. Evenings by the fire pit, stars pricking the indigo sky. We'd dance slow to vinyl jazz, his chin on my shoulder. Marry me again? He'd whisper. For real this time. Laughter bubbled. We'd eloped in a vineyard ceremony months prior, vows handwritten on grape-stained paper, just us and the vines as witnesses. Yet echoes of betrayal lingered, a quiet undercurrent. A letter arrived from Voss's cell, scrawled apology, hollow as echoes. I envied what you built. Forgive an old wolf. Theo burned it unread, but I saw the tremor in his hand. Monsters don't change, he said. But we do. Therapy helped, joint sessions with a Park Avenue shrink who specialized in high-stakes hearts. We unpacked the disguise. Theo's fear of rejection, my terror of erasure. Trust is rebuilt one truth at a time, she said. We leaned in. Summer scorched, and with it a curveball, adoption inquiries. Theo's eyes lit discussing it over rooftop barbecues, envisioning a family beyond bloodlines. A kid who needs roots, like your vineyard. I envisioned Mini MES with his hazel stare, teaching them to sketch sunsets. It felt audacious, two men, scarred but standing, claiming legacy. We dove in, paperwork a labyrinth, but hope fueled us. The true test came autumn merger anniversary. A black tie redux at the Met, but this time no facades. Theo in midnight velvet, me in emerald silk, his hand firm on my back, no performance. Whispers followed. Blackwoods are unbreakable. Voss's trial dominated headlines. His downfall a cautionary tale splashed across the Times. Investors toasted resilience. We toasted us. Mid-gala, Theo pulled me to the terrace, déjà vu sharp. No storm this time, just city hum and fireflies winking. Remember that night? He murmured, arms encircling. Thought I'd lost you. I turned, tracing his lips. You found me. In the disguise, the chaos. All of it led here. Our kiss deepened. World fading to heartbeat symphony. Love, we'd learned, wasn't absence of storm but dancing in the rain. Years folded like well-worn maps. The vineyard thrived under joint stewardship. Theo's tech infusing sustainable yields. My designs branding bottles that flew off shelves. We adopted Elias, a freckled firecracker from Brooklyn foster care, his laughter echoing penthouse halls. Holidays blended. Thanksgiving turkeys charred just right. Pride floats waving rainbow flags from our balcony. Betrayals faded to footnotes, scars to stories. Reminders that vulnerability forges strength. One crisp November eve, echoing our wedding's chill, we stood on that Hudson balcony, Elias asleep inside, rain pattering like applause. Theo's arms wrapped me, chin on my shoulder. Worth every lie? He teased, breath warm. I leaned back, heart full. Every one. You were my best con, and my truest love. The city sprawled below, alive with possibility, our reflection in the glass. Two men, intertwined, unbreakable. In America's vast tapestry, from Napa's verdant embrace to Manhattan's relentless pulse, we'd woven our thread. Flawed, fierce, forever. Love, it turned out, disguised itself not in servants' aprons, but in the quiet courage to unmask. And in that revelation we found home.